Okay. Okay. So, how many of you want me to again discuss the stereochemistry part? Should I discuss this or should I go ahead with the next class? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So should I discuss this stereochemistry part or you have understood this part?
Sir, briefly repeat the part, please.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So before I go, let me ask you then in a little bit different way. So is there anybody who would like to present it on behalf of me? Those who understood it, anybody is there who wants to present it, who wants to tell what you have understood? We can start from here. Just these two slide, this one and the next one. These two slide. Anybody wants to speak?
So what is the next slide?
The next slide is basically the other isomer, the transenolate. You can give it a try.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, very good. Yeah, let's give it a try. Let's see how we go ahead. Yeah, okay, go ahead then.
Okay. So, but I don't have any pointer or anything.
Okay, yeah, I will do the pointing thing on behalf of you. You can just speak. Yeah.
Okay, so here we have the problem of deciding the stereochemistry of the product when a cis or a trans enolate reacts with a aldehyde. So if we take the cis enolate first, so this is the cis enolate because the uh, OLI and this methyl group are on the same side. So when so in an aldehyde there are as we had already discussed earlier, there are two faces from which attack can be done. One is the re face and the other is the backside or the C face. So in the first case we consider the C face first. So the uh, first we arrange the cis enolate in this manner by turning the whole molecule about 120 degrees anti-clockwise. So we get this structure, and then we make the double bond attack to the C face of the aldehyde. So the transition state that we get is sort of the like we have already studied previously, the chair form of a cyclohexane molecule. The transition state we get is like that. So here uh, since the X group and the R group are opposite, are trans to each other, there are no steric interactions also. Steric interactions get minimized, and therefore this is a sterically favored conformation for this whole molecule. So after that the double bond attacks to the carbonyl carbon of the aldehyde, and and we get this product like this here. And uh,
Yeah, the plane.
yeah, so after we get that product, we now we must find out what the stereochemistry is. So by that for finding the stereochemistry, we uh, we consider the carbon connected to the R group, the carbon connected to the methyl group, and the carbonyl carbon, and this X atom in one plane. So this
No,
is our
R group in one plane. R, this one, this and this.
Sorry, not the X carbon. R, the carbon connected to the R, the carbon connected to the methyl group, and the carbonyl carbon. These four are in one plane. So if these four are in one plane, now we can rotate the R to look like that. So if we rotate the R in the anti-clockwise direction by 120 degrees, no, in the clockwise direction by 120 degrees.
Now, in this case, you do not have to rotate. In this case, it is already in the plane. This is already in the plane. Yeah. You have to rotate it in this case.
Oh yes, sir. Sorry.
No, it's
So
fine.
here,
Yeah.
so here methyl, as we can see, is in the downward direction, and the OH, and when the OLI is reacted hydrated, it will become OH. So here, with respect to R, OH will also be in the below the plane.
Yeah.
Because H is above the plane with respect to R, so OH will be below the plane. So first cinaldol, so cis-enolate gives cinaldol when it attacks to the C phase. Now, if we do the same thing with the re phase, here because of the conformation, the steric interactions between X and R, they come into picture, and but the product that is the product is formed in the same way, but the because the during the formation of the product here to get we want those four atoms to be taken in a plane. So here what we do is rotate R 120 degrees. So when we rotate R 120 degrees, this OLI will come up. That's why the OH in the product is up and the Me is downwards. So here the aldol which is formed is anti. And because of the XR interactions which are taking place here, this product will be formed less. That's why it will be minor.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. So the next slide, anybody else wants to say, or anyone else? Okay, Suprita, otherwise you can continue. Yeah, this one.
Yes, sir. So here in the trans-enolate, here we know it is trans because the OLI and the Me group are trans to each other. So again, we first make it react to the C phase of the aldehyde, and here in this case again we see that the X and R are trans, so there are no steric interactions that are to be considered. So after that, here we again have to rotate the transenolate approximately 120 degrees to get the so when we do that, here the product is like this. When Me is over here, and then this is.
Yeah, no, in this case you do not have to rotate again because
We don't have to rotate because we can understand it is already in the plane. So here we can see that with respect to R, H is upside, so OH has to be downwards. So here and Me is in the equatorial position. So with respect to the carbon, it is upwards. So Me will be upwards of the plane, and OH will be downwards of the plane. So here the anti-aldol is formed for transenolate when it reacts with the C phase. But when it reacts with the re phase, again we see that the XR interactions come into play, and then here again in the product, Me is going to be upwards, and OH is also going to be upwards because here H is downwards. But because of the XR interactions, the cinaldol that is formed will be minor, will be in less amount.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you have presented really excellent way. Okay, you have presented really nicely. Okay. Yeah, very nice. So this is all about, I think all of you have now understood how you have to do it. So I'll just quickly go through it. So the same way as I said in the last class. So what you do is here, if you have one stereo, if you have just unsymmetrical ketone, then you have one stereo center, you get enantiomers in this case. But if you have substitution, here it is substituted enolate, then you get two chiral centers. So you get basically two pairs of diastereoisomers. What are those? RS, S, or RR, SS. So which one will be major? That is the question. Which one will be the major? That is what we will find out. So what is the thumb up rule? You get anti-aldol. And then this comes. So this already Suprita already presented or already mentioned. So like cyclohexane, it basically have two forms, as you know, the chair form and the board form. So the chair form is the most stable form. So we basically consider four different situations. First situation is, one is this cis enolate, and this has two phases. One is this C phase, another is re phase. So first we interact with C phase and we get this syn-aldol. Then we get a re phase. Here it is re phase, and we get anti-aldol. In this case, the syn-aldol is major because there is no, this XH interaction is minimum compared to XR interaction here, because those are in the axial position. This kind of transition state is called Zimmermann-Traxler transition state. You can easily understand this transition state is very interesting, because because of this transition state, you can easily say which product will be your major product. For example, in this case, this one is your major product. From cis, you get syn. Now from trans enolate, again you take C phase and then re phase here. So from C phase, you get the from the trans enolate you get the anti-aldol, and from the re phase you get the syn-aldol. Okay, here. So again here from trans enolate, this is the major product, because this X is in this transition state. In this transition state, this XH interaction is minimum than XR interaction. So your anti-aldol here is the major product. But this anti-aldol from trans enolate is the major product, and this syn-aldol major product from the syn-enolate. So then which one would be the major? That depends on whether the enolate is cis or trans. Then we said that there are mainly steric factor which indicates which enolate would be the major product, whether it would be trans or whether it would be cis. So in this case, this would be the cis enolate, this is the trans enolate, because we are considering OLI, and this substitution, if they are in the same side, we are calling it the cis, and if they are the opposite side, we are calling them as the trans. If we have tertiary butyl group as the R group, then you can easily understand that this tertiary butyl group and R group will have a lot of interaction. So this form will be favorable, 98%. This is the this would be the minor one. But if you take a smaller group like ethyl, then this form actually prevails compared to this one. Okay. So for example, if you take this compound, take a base, then you get the cis enolate, then you take another substituent, you get the syn-aldol. Similarly, in this case, it is very interesting situation, because here you do not have a choice to form a cis enolate. This is already locked in the trans enolate. So this is your only product. Anti-aldol would be the sole product in this case. Okay. Then we said that, okay, maybe there is some compound where you have a bulky group, so that decides which enolate would be the major product, but there could be some other compound where you do not have any deciding factor. Then what to do in those compounds? What would be the major product? How do you impose a product contribution that you desire? In those cases, we take the help of substituents or help of some other reagents, which helps this molecule to be forced into a particular organization, particular arrangement. For example, if you take this compound, you take this kind of boron species, then it makes this kind of boron enolate, oxygen boron compound, where because this group is very large, it actually adopts it anti-aldol or trans-aldol. So then in this case, trans enolate. So in this case, then your anti-aldol would be the major product. But in other example here, although it looks very bulk, but it is not exactly very bulk, and that is why the cis enolate becomes the major product in this case, and that is why you get the syn-aldol. Okay, we already spoke, and then we gave one total synthesis of, let's say, this molecule. So basically you start from here, protect it, and then you use the base so that you get this cis-enolate in this case, because here these are the bulky group. So cis-enolate would be the major product. Then you use an aldehyde, you get this one. After that you just deprotect it and oxidize with para-iodide to get this kind of compound. Okay. Okay, so I hope you all understood this one. If still there is any problem, you can definitely write to me through email. We can still further clarify if you have still any doubt. Okay. 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 So today we will start with Claisen-Ester condensation. Okay. Claisen-Ester condensation is very similar to aldol condensation. That is why we are connecting those things together. If you follow how we are progressing, then you will clearly find a trend, how these reactions are evolving one after another. In aldol condensation, what did we do? We take, let's say, acetaldehyde. The reaction that we started is by using acetaldehyde. What is acetaldehyde? CH3CHO. So now here we will just replace that CHO with COOET. Instead of taking an aldehyde, we will take an ester, and we will see what happens to the reaction. If you do in this kind of connected way, then these things will remain with you even without remembering it. Okay, it will just stay in your mind if you just do these connections. What is happening if we just replace one substituent or one functional group? Then how the reaction changes? In that comparative way, if you just study, then this thing will remain in your mind for a long time. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I hope you can see the slides. I hope it is visible to you. Okay, so as I said, in aldol we take CH3CHO and then we take a base. Then you get this alpha hydrogen negative charge which attacks to another molecule of CHO, and you get this aldol. Instead of CH3CHO, now we take CH3COOET. Okay, that is the only difference here. But that little difference can change the entire scenario, entire path of the reaction, which evolved as a new reaction. That is why you get Claisen-Ester condensation. Okay. Now let's see what is this reaction, how this reaction happens. In this case also the reaction is exactly the same as aldol condensation. You add a base, the base picks up a proton, it forms this negative charge. This negative charge attacks to another molecule of this ester, same ester, to form this beta keto ester. In aldol case, you used to get this keto and basically you had an aldehyde and alcohol. In this case, you basically get a keto and an ester. So in this case, you have aldol, aldehyde, and alcohol. In this case, you have a beta keto ester. Okay, that is the only difference that is coming. Okay, so how this reaction happens? Let's see. Generally, what kind of base you take for this reaction is the one which is given for the formation of ester. For example, this is an ethyl ester, right? Ethyl acetate means this acetic acid, ethyl ester of acetic acid. That is how it's given, ethyl acetate. So because you take ethyl ester, you generally take ethoxide as the base. If it is methyl ester, you take methoxide. Okay. So if you take ethoxide, ETO minus, definitely ETO minus is a very strong base. It takes up this proton because this proton is acidic in nature. Then it creates ethanol plus CH2 minus, this negative charge, plus COOET. Okay. Now this negative charge now attacks to another molecule of this ethyl acetate. Okay. Okay, it attacks to this carbon center, bond comes back, OET minus goes out. So again you have OET minus as a product. This OET minus then picks up this proton, because this is the alpha proton. This is in between this C double OET and C double bond O group. So this is the alpha atom. So this negative charge picks up this proton to form a negative charge here. Okay, it's kind of an enolate. So this is resonance stabilized now. And now if you dilute HCl, it picks up a proton and ultimately you get CH3CU, CH2COOT, a beta keto ester. It's called ethyl acetoacetate. This is the entire mechanism of this reaction. Clear? This part is clear? Now let's see what happens in these three reactions. There are actually 3 steps involved. This is your first step, this is your second step, and this is your third step. If you see now here, you generate an ethanol and a negative charge. And here you have ethoxide and this compound ethyl acetoacetate. What is seen that ethanol its pKa is 16, which is more acidic than ethyl acetate, which pKa is 25. So ethanol is more acidic than ethyl acetate, pKa 25. So which one will be in the basic form, or which one will be will remain in the negative charge? So what I mean here is this ethanol is more acidic than this one. So definitely this negative charge would like to pick up this proton and want to remain in this form, correct? Because this is more acidic than this one. So then definitely this contribution would be more, isn't it? So then the first equilibrium is mostly lies towards the left hand side. Okay. The second equilibrium is basically reversible in nature. But the third equilibrium, this proton is highly acidic. So the product ethyl acetoacetate has a pKa of 10. Okay. So this one has a pKa of 10, this one has a pKa of 16. So then this OET minus would like to definitely take this proton to form ethanol, because this proton was more acidic. Then third equilibrium lies towards the left hand side. Okay. Now, so this one, in the right hand side, it is given in the left hand, so I said left, but it is actually in the right hand side, means towards the product formation. Okay. So the first equilibrium lies towards the left hand side. The second equilibrium is reversible in nature. Third equilibrium lies on the right hand side towards the product formation. So because of that, this equilibrium actually overcomes the equilibrium 3, actually overcomes to that of equilibrium 1. And that is why this product formation, the entire equilibrium, the overall equilibrium lies towards the product formation or towards the right hand side. Okay. Is everybody understood this part? This is the entire thing. If you understand this slide, yeah.
Can you explain that the part which you start from the pKa one?
Yeah. Okay. So you have understood already this this part. Now, the pKa of ethanol, which is 16. So the pKa of ethanol, this one, is 16 compared to the ethyl acetate. Ethyl acetate pKa is 25. So this one is more acidic than this one. If this is more acidic, that means its conjugate base would be more stable than this one. So this conjugate base is a bit less stable than this conjugate base. Correct? Got it? So ethanol,
Yes.
yeah, since ethanol is more acidic, it would like to give away its proton. So it would like to stay in this form more than this one. So this equilibrium will stay towards this reactant, towards the left hand side. Got it?
Yes, sir.
This product, this pKa is 10. This pKa of this proton definitely. pKa1, actually you have two, so I must call it pKa1. So pKa1 of this product is 10. and pKa of ethanol is 16. So that means this one is more acidic. If this one is more acidic, then this proton would like to give the proton to this one. So this form would be more stable then, correct? So that means the third equilibrium lies towards the right hand side, means towards the product formation. Got it? Because this equilibrium overcomes the equilibrium in the first, the number 1 equilibrium, the number 3 equilibrium overcomes the number 1 equilibrium. So the overall reaction lies towards the right hand side, towards the product formation. And that is how this reaction becomes feasible.
So what does it mean when we say 3 overcomes 1?
Okay, so now you imagine, let's say, microscopic reversibility, means in the molecular level. In the molecular level, every reaction is somewhat reversible. Okay, so that is the equation that we write. So that means even if the this equation lies towards the left hand side, you do get some extent of this one, correct? Otherwise you would not even get this product. So you definitely get this this product, and once you get this product, it also attacks to this starting material. Whatever minimum amount of this you get, it attacks to this to get this one. The moment you form this one in the reaction medium, it immediately comes back here. So it does not go back there. Mostly in a majority of situation, this immediately comes back here. So a little bit of what it generates here, it quickly converts into here, because this is the reversible, and then it quickly comes back to here. That is how this reaction comes back here. That is the significance. That is how you can understand it. That how, what is the meaning of this overall equilibrium is overpowering or kind of leading this reaction towards this product formation. Is it clear or?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay.
Sir, we can say that this is not commercially good reagent or a method to form this product.
Actually, you cannot say that, because Claisen-Ester condensation is very highly established reaction. This is basically a way to represent. This is basically a way to represent how the product formation happens. But in fact, eventually, this product formation is highly feasible. Otherwise, we would not be even probably getting it. So these reactions are very old, and people have been doing this reaction for a long time. Okay.
Sir, but if initially it gives, like in the first step, if the product is very less, so how can we say that it is a very feasible reaction, because it is not giving the desired amount of product in, or we have to apply a lot of initial product to get this a significant amount?
Yeah. So what you are thinking is, if I have understood it correctly, what you are thinking is that this reaction is happening in 3 different steps. So that is not correct. This reaction is basically one step reaction. We are understanding it by splitting this reaction in 3 different steps. So when you are in the laboratory doing the reaction, you basically take this ethoxide and ethyl acetate, putting into a round bottom flask, and you are getting this product, and you are just acidifying to get this product. So this is basically our academic understanding how this reaction is happening in its molecular level. Okay, but in reality, this reaction is feasible. Could I make it clear? Yeah. So this is not a 3 different steps that you are doing. This is one step reaction, but for our understanding, for the sake of our understanding, we just split it into 3 different steps, 3 different equilibria that is going on for the reaction inside.
So basically, this is a simultaneous reaction.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Of course, yeah. Okay. So if you have understood it, the next slides will be very easy, because we will be giving a lot of examples where you can easily now judge which reaction will happen, which will not happen. Okay. Okay. So here we are now saying that the yield of ethyl acetoacetate, that is your product, is more when the reaction is done in ETO minus in ether than ETO minus in ethanol. Now you can easily understand, if it is in ether, that means it will be less solvated. That means the basic character of ETO minus will be enhanced, right? So this will become now more basic in nature. So then you can pick up the proton very easily. So your first equilibrium then will shift more towards the right hand side. This equilibrium will anyway be towards the product, but this equilibrium will shift towards the right hand side. And that is your product feasibility will increase. Isn't it clear? So here are the 2 points. One is greater basic character when ETO minus is present in ether. Second is no solvation by ether with ETO minus. There will be no solvation because ether do not have a polar, it is not a polar protic solvent, it is aprotic solvent. So there will be no hydrogen bonding. But if it is in ethanol, then it is highly solvated through intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Correct? This should be possible. So in ether, its basicity actually increases. Okay. Okay. Now what will happen in this situation? Let's see this one. Okay. So what we did here, we have put 2 methyl group. Just replace 2 proton and put 2 methyl group. Okay. Now we have just 1 proton. COO minus electron withdrawing group. It has certain amount of acidity. So initially it could pick up to form a negative charge. This negative charge could attack here to get this product. Now in this product you do not have alpha hydrogen here. The one which is responsible for making the third equilibrium possible, and this third equilibrium was the one which helps this reaction to make it to happen, to make this reaction feasible, this third equilibrium. But here you do not have this alpha hydrogen here to make this third equilibrium possible. So third equilibrium does not exist. You do have 1 proton here, but because there are 2 methyl groups, this proton's acidity here becomes very less. Here it is a bit more because you have ester group which is a bit more electron withdrawing, but here you have just a ketone that is also connected with one CME2 group this side. So its electron withdrawing ability would be much less. So this proton would be very poorly acidic and it do not have alpha hydrogen here. So third equilibrium is absent. And the first equilibrium, as we know, always lies towards the left hand side. Because, and in this case, again, your acidity of this proton is very less. So the pKa of this would be much higher than pKa of ethanol. So that means this equilibrium would always tend to lie towards the left hand side. Correct? So the overall equilibrium then lies towards the left hand side. So this reaction is not feasible under this condition. In this condition, this reaction is not feasible. But this reaction could be feasible. Can you tell me how we can make this reaction feasible? What could be the way that we can make this reaction feasible? You know it. I'm sure you know it. Just tell it. Okay? Say it out and I think it would be correct. Any guess? Okay. So basically there are 2 parts. One is this base part, okay, and this acid part. Now if you somehow strengthen this base, so basically the equilibrium is towards the left because this pK is less than this. If you somehow make this pK more than, less than, more than this one, then it would like to remain in this way. If the pK of this product is more, pK more means less acid, okay? If this pK is more than this part, then it would like to stay in this way, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. So common ion effect we are doing for this.
No. We are not talking about common ion effect. No, that is different. That is totally different. Here we are talking about just increasing the basicity of this one. So you just increase.
Sir,
Yeah.
did you say about if the pK is more, then it will stay in which form?
Yeah, so pK is more means it's a less acid.
Yes,
So
sir.
less acid means it won't stay in the negative charge form. It will always stay in this kind of conjugate base form, correct? So acid has a conjugate base and base has a conjugate acid. So it will remain as a conjugate base form, correct? So that means what? This will remain more as a conjugate. This is the conjugate acid in that case. Okay. I mean, this is the conjugate base in that case, because this is then we can consider as an acid. Okay. Let me tell you one more time. Okay. Let me go to that example and then I can explain you better. Yeah. So to make this reaction feasible, we take this kind of base, triphenyl methane. Okay. So this is a very, very strong base, and when the very weak acid. Now in this case,
Sir,
this is, yeah,
your voice got cut for around 10 seconds.
okay, okay. So this slide is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What we are saying is that now we want to take a very strong base. What is that strong base? We are taking this pH3 minus, triphenyl methyl sodium. Okay. We take this base. This is a very strong base, and this picks up this proton to form this pH3CH, okay, and this conjugate base. Now in this case, if you compare with ethanol, in this case we are producing ethanol, so ethanol was more acid than this part, so this negative charge would pick up the proton from ethanol and make the equilibrium towards the left hand side. But in this case, because this is more base and this is very weak acid compared to this negative charge cannot pick up this proton. Okay, this negative charge will not pick up this proton. So this is why the pK of this is much higher than the pK of this, means this. Okay, that means it would stay more towards the right hand side. This equilibrium we could shift more towards the right hand side. Now did you understand this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now that you have made this negative charge would now attack to another molecule of this and you get this product. Although this does not have a third equilibrium. So the third equilibrium, the proton here is absent. It is not present. Even if this proton could be picked up by this one, but it is not required anymore because your first equilibrium itself is more towards the right hand side. So you do not need a third equilibrium. Okay, just the first equilibrium you could shift it more towards the right hand side, so the product formation is feasible in this case. Okay. Okay, we'll now do just one more slide and then we'll stop. So we'll stop in this slide. Okay, so now you take this reaction. Okay, I should have somehow shadowed this one, but okay, now you can easily understand that this reaction is also not possible. Okay, why this reaction is not possible? Because you have to always think about the first equilibrium and third equilibrium. So first equilibrium here is not possible, will be towards the left hand side, because here your phenol is more acidic than phenyl acetate. So this is your phenyl acetate, this is the phenoxide, but it will form the phenol here plus phenol. So phenol is always more acidic than phenyl acetate, so definitely it would stay back towards the left hand side. Again, for the third equilibrium, also the phenol that is formed here is more acidic than the phenyl acetoacetate, this compound. So phenol is always more acidic than either this part or phenyl acetate. So in both equilibrium 1 and equilibrium 3 would remain towards the left hand side, and that is why this reaction is also not feasible. Okay. Okay, I think I have just 3 more slides. We have another 10 minutes, so I think we can finish it off. Okay. So now we will see cross Claisen-Ester condensation reaction. Okay. So for cross Claisen-Ester condensation reaction, definitely you have two different esters. One is basically the donor, another is basically the acceptor. So we basically have to consider which ester is more acidic. The ester that is more acidic in nature will form the enolate and will react to the other ester which is less acidic. But actually in this case, the ester we take do not have basically an alpha hydrogen. So basically you have only one ester that has the alpha hydrogen to be picked up to form the enolate. Okay, let's give an example first. Let's speak about this series and then we'll give an example. So if we consider diethyl oxalate, ethyl formate, ethyl carbonate and ethyl benzoate, the reactivity order is like this. Why? Because you have ester which is electron withdrawing in nature. Because this ester and this ester both are electron withdrawing, so the electrophilicity of this carbonyl carbon center increases. In this case, you have only one side. Actually, in this case, there is only one hydrogen, so it would be definitely less. In this case, you have two OET, which are basically giving the lone pairs, so that the carbonyl, the electrophilicity of this carbonyl carbon is actually less. In this case, you have a phenyl group, which is actually resonance conjugated to this one, and that is why the reactivity of this carbonyl carbon is very, very less. Okay. Now, if we take, let's say, this kind of long chain ester, okay, then if we add base, again I said the same OAT minus we have to take. Generally, we take in the same way. So this OAT minus will take up a proton from here, and if we have this diethyl oxalate that basically acts as a carbonyl acceptor, then this negative charge can attack to this carbon, and then one OAT will be lost. So this is your CO2 ET, this one, and C double bond O CO2 ET. So that then there are the third equilibrium also exists where this proton will be picked up because this proton is acidic in nature. So it will remain as a stable enolate. Now if you do acidification, you will get the product where R group is basically the rest of the long chain group, the pentyl group. Okay, it's very simple. Now this reaction is very, very interesting, and this reaction is also very interesting, important in terms of exam purpose. In a lot of case, this reaction is been given in exam. Okay, and this is called intramolecular Claisen-Ester condensation. The name is called Dickmann reaction. Okay, so basically very simple. Now you can understand is without even explanation. Basically here you take a diester and then you add the base. So if you add the base, it can pick up either this proton or this proton. This is symmetric in nature, no problem. So pick up this proton, make a negative charge which is resonance stabilized. This negative charge comes back, this double bond attacks to other ester moiety. So OAT minus will be left. This it will form a cyclopentane ring, and this O negative comes back, OAT minus goes out. Okay, so you form this molecule. And now here again, this is the third equilibrium. OAT minus is present. This OAT minus is present in the reaction medium, which picks up this proton because this is your alpha proton. This is your acidic proton. It picks up this proton to form this enolate. This is the third equilibrium. Correct? And now if you add dilute HCl, then it picks up the proton, and then after tautomerism, it becomes like this. Okay. In many times in the exam, they ask what is a Dickmann reaction, give an example. Okay. And then the second part of that question becomes like, how do you prove that the enolate formation happens or the third equilibrium exists? How do you prove that the enolate formation takes place in the medium? Okay. So then this is the answer, that if you do this reaction in presence of methyl iodide, basically you will get this kind of product, because this is the more acidic proton, right? Because COOH is also electron withdrawing, C double bond O is also electron withdrawing, so it forms the negative charge over here. And if you add methyl iodide, it easily forms this product, okay, which is in 85%. So that proves that you have this enolate in the reaction media, okay. Using this intramolecular Claisen-Ester condensation, there is a very interesting reaction sequence. This also I gave in the last time exam. That this is the application of intramolecular Claisen-Ester condensation. What you do is you take an amine and you take this kind of ester. Then this double bond is basically very reactive, which undergoes Michael type of addition. So this Michael reaction we will be discussing towards the end of our this semester, okay. So this NH2, they actually react to this 1,4 position. This is basically 4 position. It attacks there, and two of them can attack because you have 2 proton here. So after attacking to this center, it forms the CH2CH2COOET, CH2CH2COOET. So first you form this compound, and then again you take this base, sodium ethoxide and ethanol, then you get this intramolecular Claisen-Ester condensation, the Dickmann reaction that undergoes here. So this negative charge anywhere, either here or here, both are basically equivalent. So this negative charge forms here, attacks to this carbon center, OET minus leaves, so you get this product. Now this product you can do hydrolysis in presence of NaOH in water, so that this COOET will be hydrolyzed to COO minus. And now if you do protonation, it will be protonated. And if you do heat treatment, it forms a intramolecular cyclic 6-membered ring, and a decarboxylation takes place. So basically minus CO2 happens here. So you get this one. After tautomerism, you get this ketone. So ultimately from these two starting material, you end up with this product, okay. So basically how I can give this question, that I will give you these 2 starting material, and I will give you 1 NaOH in ethanol, 2 NaOH water, 3 HCl water, and 3rd heat treatment. What would be the product? So then this would be your sequence. Okay, so we stop here, okay. So is it understandable to everybody? Did you understand, or you have any question? Everyone understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So just hold on, I will download the attendance sheet.
So we can read more about this from Claydon, right?
This one you can find also to some extent in Claydon and in Peter Sykes also. Okay.
Okay.